Damix Ganatani, Nastoan Nagok, Agate Naskim. My English name is Joey Blood. The program that I'm currently employed with is known as the Family Preservation Department. We work with children that have been placed into the foster care system, as well as we work with families that have children that are in the foster care system. So we provide the supports of trying to help them get their children back, providing supervised visits, as well as our youth that we work with, just any kind of social needs that they need help with, as well as the culture, getting them reconnected back to the community. Our age range varies. We can have youth as young as 7 in our program up until maybe they're 25. And it just really depends on their circumstances, as well as what the caseworker wants in place for them. We get referrals from Southwest. I think it's now Southern Alberta Children's Services. Yeah, they've switched. They used to just take care of this the western portion of Southern Alberta, but I think now they've expanded into all of Southern Alberta. Well, just a lot of them have been disconnected from the community. Some of them don't know who their families are. Some of them don't know where they come from. So we really try and help get them reconnected back to their culture, back to the community, trying to bridge that gap that was severed so many years ago when they were entered into the foster care system. And any other social problems that they may be going through, like if education is something that they're struggling with, we'll help them with that. If they're wanting to obtain work, we'll help them with that. If they're in trouble with the law, we'll also help if they need to do a community service. We'll provide that. We'll help them out in obtaining those community service hours. And on rare occasions, we may need to testify in court if some of our youth are having legal troubles, but that's very rarely. And as well as if there's any addictions, mental health issues going on with them, on meeting with our caseworkers, they'll give us all of that info, and we'll have a plan on how to go about dealing with any issues they may be going through and getting them better services that they can't seem to get on their own. We're located here in Lethbridge, and a lot of our community members also stay here in town. But just being able to provide that service, like we have a new program now where we do every Friday have community members can attend activities that we have here, as well as just the fact that we have so many resources when it comes to our elders, our youth, to getting them reconnected back to the culture. So being able to provide that services that we've been able to provide a lot of our youth, and seeing them go on to do other things, we got to see we had a part in, but for the most part it's our youth's it's their accomplishments, hey, and because and when they accomplish what they get out of here, that's a big plus for us. We do get a lot of high risk youth. And some of the things that we hear from the caseworkers, so far since I've been here, a lot of I don't like to say horror stories, but sometimes that's the way the caseworkers make them out to be. But I've never seen any of those things come out. What I see are youth wanting to learn, wanting to try, and wanting to make that effort. I never really have any issues with any of my youth in that regard. I think just me being First Nation, they feel that connection right off the bat because they're with non-natives for most of their life. Because some right at birth have been placed in the foster care system. So growing up, they've never had those kind of interactions with their own people. And I don't like to look at what I do as a job. It's something I need to do. My responsibility, because at some point my kids are going to be in my position, and I don't want them to have identity issues. I want them to be proud, feel proud of who they are. My dad went to residential school, and he had those issues of not knowing who he was. And he was a youth, but he wasn't placed in the foster care system or anything. But it was almost like he was being taken away from his family. But he knew that, this isn't who he is. And I think for some of our youth, getting reintegrated back into our community, they start, like I said, there's a spark in them, really help get our youth reconnected back to our culture, bringing in elders, and we do different activities. We've done moccasin making, drum making. I don't know if you've ever seen those backrests that, we even go out to the reserve and I show them the kind of willows we use to make those backrests. So even showing them that this is what the land still gives us today. Just tomorrow, we're going to be having a sweat. So I have to go out and go get all the stuff to build that sweat. And I always make sure that my youth are right there to see it firsthand, that we, if I didn't pay attention growing up, I probably wouldn't know what kind of willows to use. If I see one branch, I'll just assume, hey, well, this one will do, but teaching them right from wrong, okay? And not only just with the culture, but just in life in general, teaching them right from wrong. Just a lot of the stories from that our elders that have passed on, our teachings when it comes to our ceremonies, our history. We had a knowledge system, and when I talk about that knowledge system, I mean with the land. That was a huge knowledge system that our people were very good at. We knew what the land could offer us. We knew what to take. We knew how to put back as well. And when you look back at a lot of our ceremonies, we do have certain animals that play a part in our ceremonies. And it's not that we worship these animals, it's that we're paying respect to the things that are giving us life, that gave us life. And but there's so much that come along with that. A lot of people say the buffalo was one of our biggest learning tools because there was so much that would branch out from the buffalo. But we had other areas, we have plants and different herbs that our people had a good knowledge system of. That's why knowing what the land can offer us today still is very important. If we don't have that knowledge, then we have more and more people that are going to start trying to take portions of that away from us, or we're gonna, those identity crises are gonna be even higher, but just stuff that are passed down through generation after generation, and I know for some communities that's been a struggle, and it's not at their fault. We've had a pretty rough history. And we do live in a time that, we're still struggling with this life, because this life was never ours. It was introduced to us, what the newcomers brought to us. And I see that a lot of our people are still struggling because we were never meant to live this kind of life. Those people that came across that brought all of these things to us, they struggled. They're struggling to this day still, hey? But, we do have a lot of people that are trying. And people that are wanting to keep the language strong, wanting to keep the culture strong. And I think just being able to share these stories, being able to pass it down, even me just talking with you right now, I'm playing a part in that. And we've had so many people before me that have fought for my community to keep our ways alive. We were faced with so much residential school, the eradication of buffalo, disease, the whiskey trade. The history during that time was pretty hard for our ways to survive, but it did, Well, just to really try and get people engaged. And for some communities that are struggling with the language or don't know their history, really trying to make that their priority. And you'll see a change in the community. Where those struggles are always going to be there, but at least having that identity can help combat a lot of those social issues that happen in our communities. And for some like with our kids that are in the program and our family preservation, our youth, many of them don't don't know that we still have a lot of these ceremonies in our community. But once we get them involved, once we get them engaged, there's just a whole new light to them, you know. There's that something spark that they probably didn't know was there, you know, and that could be for anybody, you know. And I know once people get a taste of it, they're gonna want more. So as long as we have ways to get people involved, it either be the language or the culture or just even the history, where you come from, where your ancestors used to hunt or gather, you know, all sorts of ideas to help encourage people. And I know even through powwow, you know, there's stuff that go on there that spark a lot for people. Eh? There shouldn't be a price tag on our knowledge, on our culture. Eh? It should just be, you know, you go talk to somebody, an elder. It doesn't even have to be an elder. There's so many people from our community that are my age that are very involved. And some elders will say, you know, doesn't matter about age. This young guy right here has taught me a lot. I've seen examples of that where elders acknowledge the young as being knowledge keepers as well. Hey, but even to have gatherings, Blackfoot, for example, Blackfoot classes. Hey, like every Monday we have a Blackfoot class. We have an elder that comes in and does an hour of lessons for the staff and anyone that wants to come. Hey. But just trying to bridge that gap. I know funding is always an issue, but I hate sometimes that there's a price tag on that. There should never be a price tag on the knowledge. And you know, you want it to carry on. You want to be able to pass it down to the younger generation. I myself am still very young, and I'm nowhere near knowing half as much as what our elders know. But with what I do know has really helped me get to where I'm at today. But I still have a long ways to go, you know. But just being able to sit down with my youth, there's things that they teach me as well. Things that I might have taken a little bit for granted, eh? Especially not being able to be connected to their family, where I've grown up with my family. So being, you know, cognizant of that, eh? But just really encouraging anybody that if you're struggling with your language or your culture, you know, seek out the people, even some of the material. I know people have issues about some of the material that's written about our people, that it's a lot of it's falsified, or those people that went and did the research, they only did it for like a week or so and they automatically become experts, eh? But there are some really good literature out there, you know, about our people. And I think we live in a time too where technology is the new buffalo, eh? Utilizing a recording device, even having a sit down with an elder and having him just talk in Blackfoot, you know, and making that your priority to try and translate what he said. But to use what technology we have today, because we have to move along with it. The language changes as well as time goes on too, you know, but always keeping in mind that we have to stay connected to our roots, hey?